The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Namaskar, welcome to our Astaunga Yoga course. Today we are in the 5th class. And as usual, you can have your questions and type them in the control panel. I will make an effort to answer your questions during the presentation, sometimes at the end of the presentation. Okay, so let's get started. Ashtanga Yoga is a system of yoga, a complete system of yoga. And it has 8 parts of it. These 8 parts are integrated into a complete system. By practicing all the parts, we are developing our mind in its full potential, all the levels of the mind. And to start with, we have to work on the most external level of our mind, and that's the conscious level, the level that we are using in our day-to-day life, the level that controls the sensory organs and the motor organs, is the level that is most connected with our physical body. We have to work a lot on this level because this is the base. If we cannot balance the conscious level, it is very difficult to do meditation, to reach to the state of yoga. So that's why the 2 first steps of Astaunga Yoga are Neama, to have a good relationship with others, with our environment. And number 2, Neama. Neama is to have a good relationship with ourselves. The first point, Neama, you need a second entity, something external to you to practice. And that is the Neama. And there are 5 parts we have seen in the beginning of the course. Then we passed to the second step, which is the Neama, the part that develops a good relationship with ourselves. And we spend all the time with ourselves and with others, mostly. Sometimes we are unconscious, means sleeping, so we may not be conscious of ourselves, but most of the time we are with ourselves. So this is a very important point, Neama. Nowadays, the yogic practice is more concentrated on the physical aspect, which we are going to see in the probably next class. But without these 2 first steps, it is very difficult to really practice yoga as a deeper practice. So we are now in the step number 2, which is the Neama, and there are 5 parts to it. We have seen 3 in the last few classes. The 3 that we have seen are cleanliness, or in Sanskrit, shaucha. And we saw that it has 4 parts, which is, let's say, physical cleanliness and mental cleanliness. Physical can be internal and external, mental, internal, external. We saw that. Now, we also saw the number 2, contentment, or santosh. It is a practice. It is a very important practice to practice contentment. And we also saw that to practice contentment, we need to practice one of the yamas, which is aparigraha, or to live a simple life, not accumulating excess and superfluous things. It doesn't mean to have nothing, but it means to have what you can use for maintenance of your existence, for the welfare of those around you, but not to accumulate and to have too much extra. And this is a trend nowadays, to unclutter, to remove clutter from our life. And that is, by doing that, we'll attain this statement of contentment. All right, those two we have seen, and we also saw number 3, which I called sacrifice or selflessness. It means to undergo a little bit hardship personally so that I can benefit, give some happiness to others. So for me, it can be a bit hardship, but it will bring a lot of benefit. And that is tapa. And this is also to sacrifice certain things in order to attain other things more important. Like sometimes we have to give up some things in our life to get more time for things that really matter. So that was the number 3. So we have covered that, and I hope you have been practicing it, because these are not only points to know or to have there, but points to practice. And what do I mean by practicing? I mean that if today you are not feeling the best within yourself, then you can think about these points of Neama and how you can improve them, and that will transform you. Okay, so but let's complete the study of Neama. Point number 4. Point number 4 is study. It is important to increase our knowledge. Study does not only happen by reading a book or memorizing. No, that's not real study. Study also happens by observing, by listening to others, by attending other presentations like this one. So study, but here it's not only to study the physical knowledge, means to know about the things of the world, or like engineering, or let's say medicine and things, but also to study spiritual texts. And not only study, understand them. It doesn't help us to memorize spiritual texts and to cite, make nice discourses by memorizing famous texts and books. It will not help much. If we understand, yes, that helps. So this is study and understanding of particularly spiritual scriptures, books, or texts, or teachings. Because one thing in spirituality and in the study of yoga is that interpretation is very important. We will see lots of things out there being presented as yogic practices, but we have to be able to discriminate, to understand what is a good practice, what is not a good practice, what is misguiding us, and what is guiding us in the right direction. Deeper knowledge is very important. There are many people capable of giving nice discourses, nice talks, but in the substance, how much that is going to help us, how much that can be applied in the practical field, in real life. So that's the most important thing. So study is the fourth point. Study and understanding of spiritual texts. Okay. I want to give also the Sanskrit name I didn't put here is Swadhyaya. I will bring it up later on as we proceed. So I think this much about study. And I want to call attention for a few things. There are many people who come into the practice of yoga through the hatha yoga or the asanas, the physical exercises. And that is good. Those practices are good. And when they want to go deeper and they want to learn more about yoga, and they sometimes take a trip to India. And because, yes, India is the land of yoga, yoga came from India. But one thing about India is that you will find everything in India, so much stuff. And myself, I used to think that when I arrive in India, I will see yoga, yoga, yoga. Everybody does yoga, meditation, like that. But it's not really that. Yes, there are many temples and things like that, but the practices they are doing are not really yoga. It's not really a deeper practice. It's kind of a, let's say, like a church, more a religious, ritualistic practice. If you really want to find the deeper practice, the real practice, you need to know where to go. And you will potentially not just find it being there. You have to do some research. Where can I go that I'm going to learn the real practice, the real yoga, not the, let's say, commercial or ritualistic, but the one that can really take oneself within. And I've come across lots of interpretations of different spiritual texts, and many are not really very correct and not leading us to, let's say, to the point of self-realization, to the point of self-improvement, self-development. So it's just kind of a warning, at the same time, eye-opening statement that I'm putting here, that in the end, we are the ones doing the practice, and we have to take responsibility for our practice. Therefore, we have to know more, we have to understand more, and we have to ask the right questions, questions that are practical, that can take us to the goal. And especially nowadays in the age of information, that all information is out there. And there are a lot of good information, but there are a lot of misleading information also. So this point number 4 of Swadhyaya, or study, becomes a very important point to have a good relationship with ourselves. So whatever we learn should be things that help us, that help society, that helps the environment, and we shouldn't get alienated from the world. We should be very connected to the world where we live, the society where we live. It should be a nice society, it should be a balanced society. spirituality does not mean to abandon the world and to go into our own dream world and think that that's to be spiritual and that is to seek realization. No, that's not. A real spiritualist loves the world. He or she benefits the world. He or she lives in the world, and whoever he or she comes in contact with gets some benefit. So this idea that the world is an illusion, the idea itself is the illusion. So we shouldn't develop such ideas in our mind. There are many philosophies. It's very important to know what philosophies exists in the reality and what philosophy is a dream in the mind of somebody which has no practical application and which has misled thousands, if not millions of people in our planet, thousands and millions of our brothers and sisters. All right, so this much about this point. And let me go to the next one. The fifth point, I kind of translated it as meditation. In Sanskrit, it's kind of a long, actually 2 words, Ishvara Pranidhan. And I put here meditation. The meaning of the word in Sanskrit is something like to be able to withdraw the mind from everything external, to bring the mind within, to concentrate the mind, to point the mind towards the nucleus, the cosmic nucleus, from where creation or everything came from. So like withdraw the mind from everything, concentrate within, point it towards that cosmic nucleus. So that would be the fifth point. It means a practice of meditation, but a deeper practice of meditation, scientific or systematic practice of meditation. Sometimes people think to meditate is just to sit somewhere, close the eyes, or just to think about something. We could say those are different practices of meditation, but they don't come within the scope of this fifth point of Niyama. Because here, you want to transcend everything that is external. You want to come to the source. So that's very important. So that's a real practice, the real meditation. Okay. All right. See. Okay. So these are the 5 parts of Niyama. So we completed the 5 parts of Niyama. Let me summarize first what we saw today. The 4th point, Niyama, study, Swadhyaya. Study and understand, proper understanding. Not only study. I did, there are many things in, I would not say philosophy, many things in, let's say, philosophy, religion, that don't make sense. Kind of dogmas, things that you have to accept. I don't think that has place in the practice of yoga. The practice of yoga is to really understand, to realize. So this 4th point is very important, Swadhyaya, study. Point number 5, meditation or Ishvara Pranidhana. particular practice that helps you to withdraw from everything, concentrate in that cosmic nucleus, let's say cosmic consciousness. Here, to say cosmic consciousness or God, it's a very generic term. It is through study, which is the fourth point, we may start understanding the depth of these words. You know, we human beings, sometimes we say, my body, my soul, sometimes also mind. So now body, mind, soul. Most of our existence is in the mind. Yes, body is important, but most what happens in our life is mental. And so the study of the mind is very important. How we'll understand our mind, the various levels of our mind, the various faculties of our mind, our intellect, our intuition, our control over the various expressions. So all these points are very important. And if we understand our body, how it works, how it relates to the mind, then understand the mind, all the layers of the mind, and the soul, how mind relates to the soul, how we can realize the soul. At that point, we can understand the difference between the various practices of meditation. Otherwise, there is not much difference. It's like, just like a simple example, if I'm a automobile, a car enthusiast, when I see one car and another car, I know very much the difference, the engine, the the process that of manufacturing and all the characteristics of that vehicle. If I'm just somebody who doesn't know much about car, I look at one car, it has four wheels, has doors, I can go inside, has seats, has steering wheel, has maybe automatic gears or manual gears, and they all kind of very similar. Yes, there is a little bit difference, but I don't know much about it. But if I'm a car enthusiast, then I will really know, no, this is much different from that one and very different from that one. And then there is race cars, and there is, cars for just commuting. And so there are many variations out there. Now, if I know a little bit about meditation, then I think, yes, okay, they have meditation, that's meditation, that's meditation. And but I will not really know the difference or why one meditation is different from the other and which meditation should I do, which meditation should I not do. So in that point, this study is very important, because otherwise we will not give value to what we have. On this point, I'm going to tell a story that I heard from another monk. He was kind of giving a talk, and he told this story. The story was about one young man. He wanted to be the disciple of one spiritual teacher. So he came to the teacher and said, I would like to be your student. The teacher said, yes, you may, but before that, you have to do some work for me. So the young man said, oh, what do I have to do? He said, I have this watch, okay, wristwatch, and I want you to go to the market and sell it. I want you to sell it for, let's say, $50 and see how much you can get for it. But in the end, do not sell it. But I want to know how much you can get for it. So he went to the market and offered this wristwatch to different people. Some people said, no, this has no value. Maybe I give you $10. The other one, $5, $15. Nobody gave much importance to that watch. And he was very disappointed. And he came back to the teacher and said, Master, I only could get $20 maximum. Okay, good. You brought it back. So tomorrow, you go to this shop, they sell watches there, and you talk to the owner and see how much he can offer for this watch. But whatever he offers, don't sell it. So this young man went and met the shopkeeper, the owner, and said, I have this watch to sell. How much can you offer today? And the man took some time and then came back to him and said, I do not have much cash today, but if you want to sell it today, I could give you around $2,500. So this young man was very much surprised. But he said, no, my master said not to sell it. So even though it's 2,500, I will not sell. So he didn't sell it. So this man said, but if you come another day and you tell me in advance, I could get more cash together and I could give you more. Anyway, he didn't sell it. He went back to the master and he was very surprised. He said, Master, at the market, you didn't want to give $20 and this man was offering 2,500. Yes, said the master, because this man, by his knowledge, he knows the value of this watch. And those people in the market are ignorant. They don't know the value, so they didn't give any importance. So that happens a lot in the spiritual life, where people will get attracted to something that has no value, and they will ignore something that has a lot of value just because of lack of knowledge. So that's why the point number 4 of Neama, it's a very important point. At the same time, we should not get lost on that point by increasing our knowledge in the sense of memorizing things and citing scriptures and citing this and that. That has not much value. The value lies in studying, applying, learning, really learning and applying. That has value. So also don't be, let's say, misguided, attracted by the people who can just tell so many beautiful things. We have to see what they do, how they do. Is that really helping them? And how to apply those talks, teachings, and practices in our day-to-day life. All right, so we talk about number 4 and number 5, also the meditation. Meditation is to be practiced. Learn meditation and not practice doesn't have any value. The value lies in practicing. In our system, we tell people to practice twice a day. Many people ask, oh, why twice a day? If I do only once a day, I say, okay, at least do once a day. Now, the thing is, we eat 3 times a day. Sometimes we eat 4 times a day. Sometimes we minimum 2 times a day. Why do we eat so many times a day? Why not eat only once a day? Because we eat, the body is absorbing, consuming what we ate. Now we need to replenish it. In the same way, meditation is the food for the mind. We meditate, and then our mind comes in contact with the world, with so many other vibrations and many attractions. So therefore, we need again to meditate to connect with that source. You know, it's like we need to refuel the energy, and that's why it's good to do twice a day. But at least if you do it every day, that's already good. If you do it twice a day, that's better. All right. Now we have the whole Neama figure. Contentment is a practice. Cleanliness, another practice. Sacrifice, another practice. Study, another one. Meditation, another one. So that makes 5 practices of Niyama. We completed the study of Niyama, but we haven't completed the practice. The practice is our whole life. Both practice of Yama and Niyama, it will go on for our whole life. Here I bring back the drawing of the hand. We have 2 hands, 5 fingers in each hand. So we have 2 most basic practices, Yama and Niyama, and each one has 5 parts. The 5 parts of Niyama are cleanliness or shaucha, contentment, sacrifice or undergo hardships to attain something or to bring benefit to others, studying, and meditation. That makes 5. So that is what I wanted to present today. And questions. I did see questions during the presentation, and I incorporated the answers to the presentation. And I don't see any extra questions from the ones I already covered in the presentation. Many were regarding study, so that's why I went on and on. Here I have a quote, and it's from Pope John Paul I. And this quote I found it very interesting. If someone had told me I would be Pope one day, I would have studied harder. So it's good not to have much regret in our life. But if we did miss some opportunities, don't feel bad about it. Maybe that's how we reach to our point today. But today is what matters, is what I can do today. That is what matters. So if I make sure that I'm living today, not wasting my time, utilizing my potential, then I know that in the future I will have no regret for today. And so just to keep in mind. And thank you very much for participating in this webinar. And I'm grateful that I had this chance, because of you, to talk on this topic, because many times I learn a lot when I'm talking about different topics, because some new insights come to my mind. It's like it kind of stimulates. So I hope we can continue with the course, and you can complete this course of Astaunga Yoga, and that you find some things that you can apply in your day-to-day life. That's the main thing. It's not just for knowledge's sake, but for application. So if from these 10 points that we have studied, 5 points of Niyama, 5 points of Yama, if you apply some of this, it's already good. And how to get the chance to apply it. If you don't have a good relationship with somebody in your life, look at that relationship from the 5 points of Neama and see if there is anything you can do that can, how to say, you can change in those 5 points, you know. There are 5 points of Neama, and then there is your relationship with that other individual. So what can you change in those 5 points in relation to that individual? So change something and see what is the effect, what effect it has in that relationship. And work on those 5 points. And the same, if your relationship with yourself is not a happy one, look at these 5 points of Neama and what you can change. Thank you. Namaskar.